Our story begins here, walking our dogs endlessly around St Andrew's graveyard and worrying about the state of the world in general and the refugee crisis in particular. We wondered if there was something we could do as two women in Cambridge, as well as donating money.
We watched in horror as desperate people waited at the airport in Kabul or camped beside the train tracks in Belarus. And we wondered why so few people seem to be offered a safe haven in the UK. Then we heard about the community sponsorship scheme, a Home Office scheme originally launched in 2016 as a way of resettling refugees in the UK.
This is different from the new scheme just announced in response to the Ukraine crisis. It's a legally binding arrangement that enables communities to be directly responsible for permanently resettling a refugee family in their area. Although refugees qualify for state benefits, community sponsorship groups are responsible for providing everything else families need to make a new life here.
Happily, there's a brilliant charity called Reset that devised the scheme with the Home Office. They provide loads of help, training and support for groups like us. We've already met other groups from all over the country, from the Isle of Skye to Cornwall.
Resettle Chesterton is the first community sponsorship group to be registered here in Cambridge, out of more than 300 groups around the country. It's already been an incredible journey, and we wanted to tell you about some of the hoops we've already jumped through.
There are two big initial hurdles. The first one is finding suitable accommodation for the family. The house needs to be available for a minimum of 2 years, and the landlord must accept a basic housing benefit rate. This already seemed impossible given the price of housing here in Cambridge.
But we crossed our fingers and put a call out via our local residents association last November. Within days, a neighbour offered us a house, secured for as long as we needed it, and at a rent determined by the benefit rate. We were totally astonished, just like that.
Next, we formed a steering group and became Resettle Chesterton, identifying people to lead on different areas. And this is our new logo designed by Hilary, who is here on this call. The only other group to be doing this in our county is in Godmanchester, and they've also been very supportive.
Each group needs to either themselves be a charity or identify one that will work with them as a lead sponsor. Both of us have run or currently run charities, and we didn't want to create another unless totally necessary. So we chose to work with Citizens UK, a national charity. They're working with at least 60 other groups and offer phenomenal support and guidance. So it seems obvious that we should work with them.
The other major challenge was fundraising. The Home Office requires groups to raise at least £9,000 to cover key costs for the family for a year. And Citizens UK also charges a fee to cover training and guidance.
We went public at the end of January, creating a Facebook page and Just Giving campaign, and appealing to neighbours and friends and putting the word out through all our networks. And the money really quickly began to roll in.
The response was really overwhelming, and we've quickly met our initial targets. So far, 149 people have given almost £15,000, and we're discussing as a group how we can extend our support to other local linked initiatives. We've already decided that we want to raise more funds so that we can support this family and others for longer than a year.
We're raising funds in lots of ways. A neighbour ran the half marathon for us, and a local teenager organised a dog show during one of our playing out afternoons. And here they are. And I even got told earlier today that people were coming from out of the area. The dog show was so popular, and that we're going to plan to do it again next year. There's a concert and a ceilidh planned too.
Of course, there is a huge amount to be done. We've been really overwhelmed with offers of help, lots of volunteers, but we must have processes in place for recruiting and training all the volunteers, registering the family with schools and healthcare, helping them to understand the benefits system, which is, as anyone who's ever been through it knows, no mean feat, putting together an English teaching programme, writing a safeguarding policy. We also have to work with the city and county councillors, the city and county councils who have to give their consent. That's an ongoing and at the moment a
slightly slower process than we had hoped in view of officer workloads. And although we've been all ready to submit our application for some time, we're still waiting for letters of approval.
Once we've submitted it, the initial application will be matched with the family. And at that point, everything will become much more real. We'll be able to make more detailed plans based on that family's own circumstances and needs. And we hope that we'll be able to welcome them by September.
In due course, we'll need to furnish and equip the house too to make it a welcoming space for the family. We've gathered bits of donated furniture so far and also talked with friends at the Kareem Foundation about making sure we have the right food in the cupboards. The detail has been extraordinary.
It's a huge endeavour, but it does already feel like a valuable one and a life-affirming, enjoyable one to do. One more vulnerable family will be able to leave precarious and uncertain living conditions and begin a new life in our lovely city. We're amazed and delighted by the response, but we're only too well aware that our efforts are a drop in the ocean compared with the need.
It's clear this form of community sponsorship isn't widely known. So far, only a few hundred people have been resettled in the UK in this way. And now there's the added confusion with the version that's evolving to support Ukrainians. That's a vital challenge for us all too, and one we're all individually thinking about. But Resettle Chesterton remains committed to this more long-term and legally binding scheme. We're holding a Zoom meeting with Reset for others in our areas interested in forming their own group on Tuesday, the 5th of April. So do please join us.
We'll put the details on our Facebook page, or you can email us for an invitation. We may be the first group. Please don't let us be the last.